Hey guys, so today we're going to be reading William Blake's poems, and so we're going to read a couple of them together, but the first ones we're going to read is The Tiger and the Lamb. Now, these two poems are written as part of a collection, so they are designed to be read together, and that's important. So they're from a collection called The Songs of Innocence and The Songs of Experience. So one is supposed to be very lighthearted and happy, and one is supposed to be a little bit darker, and they're supposed to be coexisting, trying to show the light and good in the world, but also the bad and evil in the world. And how could these both be in the world? How could they be created by the same person? And that's what he is questioning as he is writing these poems. So we're going to be reading these poems together, but I also wanted to start off by showing you guys the pictures. So these pictures and these illustrations of the tiger and the lamb were actually how they were printed. So they were designed with these images. And so just that elaborate imagery, the calligraphy, look at how it's written. I know it's a little bit blurry in this picture. I couldn't find a really solid picture of them together. I have them separately with good, without them being pixelated, but not together. And I think it's really important you guys see them together since that is how they were designed to be printed. So we're going to go to the poetry selection document. And when we do that, we're going to go through and we're going to read, and I'm going to break down both of the poems. So we're going to read the tiger first and then the lamb. So we're going to start off with the tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. Notice that we're over here. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? I know normally we don't say symmetry, we say symmetry, but the goal, if you look at the top, bright and night, they rhyme together. And so I and try, they're trying to rhyme as well. And so that's going to be a slant rhyme. So you're actually going to pronounce it slightly differently to try and make sure you hear that rhyme. In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? So you're really getting to hear that rhyme now. Notice each one of these, we're starting to repeat those questions of what. And so that's that anaphora, where you're starting lines off the same way. And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? Sinews are like the little muscle strings, the strings that hold everything together. And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? So start considering like what feelings some of these words have. So what is the connotation? Because connotation is the feeling behind words. Because home and house mean the same thing, but the feeling, the connotation is different. So dread hand, dread feet. Dread is not a happy term. So that connotation is negative. So that starts telling us this is probably going to be from the Songs of Experience because it is a little bit less happy. It's going to be more of it's experienced the world. And what hammer and what chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terrors clasp? If you don't know what an anvil is, that's like that really heavy weight that cartoon characters drop on each other's heads. When the stars threw down their spears, can stars throw things? No. So that's going to be personification. So we also have personification in here. And watered heaven with their tears. Did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee? So this is a really important stanza. It's not wanting to click. And because this is going to be that shift. And so the shift in a poem is going to be where that tone starts to change or where the writing changes a bit. So, or the perspective changes a bit. And so that shift can be all of those things. And so here, instead of talking to the tiger and addressing the tiger's issues as much, now he's thinking bigger. He's thinking about the world as a whole. And he starts saying, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? And so now he's talking about something bigger than just that tiger. He's talking about God. Because who made the world? Who made the lamb? So he's referencing the world, the God. And We can also get that because he's also starting to bring up heaven. So that gives you an idea that his mind is going here because that's where God is. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what a mortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? So notice again, that same first stanza is how things end. So you have full repetition because the whole thing is word for word. And that's going to be a little bit of a difference between anaphora versus repetition. Anaphora is just the what, like it's just one word or one phrase, and it's just repeated at the beginning of a line or a phrase over and over. Where repetition is a whole line, a whole stanza, and it's word for word every time. And so that's going to be the difference between anaphora versus repetition. And so as we heard and we read this poem, we noticed that there was a vowel sound that was repeated a lot. Did anybody pick up on that? Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? You hear that vowel? And so if you can't remember what the vowels are, it's A, E, I, O, or U. Which vowel did we hear the most? It was I. And so that I sound being said over and over again, whether it's in the, most of the time it's going to be in the middle of a word. So like tiger. So it doesn't have to be the letter I. It can be the sound I. Tyger burning bright in the forest of the night. Then we have I down here. We have thy, which still has that I sound at the end. And then we have try. All of that I is called assonance. When it's a consonant, so it's all the other letters that aren't vowels, that's consonants. But this one's assonance. And it's that repeated vowel sound in any poem. And it can be in prose, but it's more common in poetry. And so we have that repeated I sound there. And so we do see that questioning, though, within this poem. And so this is going to be from the Songs of Experience, and he is questioning, how can God create all these horrible things if he's so good? And it's paired with the Lamb. And so the Lamb is going to be the Songs of Innocence, because we have Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. So if we have one, then the other one has to be the opposite. So the Lamb is going to be the Songs of Experience. And in this one, he is going to be looking at the good in the world. And so that's why these are paired together. So they're trying to compare and contrast, well, mostly contrast. How can such a good God allow such evil in the world? And he's trying and wrestling with that question in his brain. So let's read the Lamb. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. So here's your shift, because now instead of asking, as it was up here, now it's answering down here. And so again, you're seeing that shift. Little lamb, I'll tell thee, he is called by thy name. And so now you get to see us answering and still seeing that he being reflected in both poems. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child. I a child and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, who made thee? Little lamb, who made... God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. Sorry. Wrong line. So here we have more of an anaphora rather than a repetition, far as throughout the poem. So little lamb, but it's not throughout the whole line. So we have that anaphora going on. And still you have that very light sound. And a lot of people say it sounds kind of like Mary Had a Little Lamb. So it has kind of that rhythm built in. And you still have some assonance with those vowel sounds as well. Did you guys notice anything else? What about that end rhyme? So in both of these, we have an end rhyme. And with end rhyme, what you're always going to do is you're going to associate a letter with the end line. So, for example, you'd give an A, and that A doesn't stay there forever. It's not written into the poem. You're just going to write it at the end of that line. So, little lamb, who made thee? And then you're going to go to the next line. You're going to ask yourself, okay, does thee rhyme with thee? Well, it's the same word. So, yes, it does. And we're going to give it another A. And so, if they both rhyme, they match letters. But if they don't rhyme, you go down in the alphabet. So, does thee and feed rhyme? No. So, it gets a B. Does mead and feed rhyme? Yes. Delight and bright? So we know they rhyme together and they don't rhyme with anything else that we've had so far, so they get C's. And you keep going down the alphabet. And you continue that lettering through stanza changes all the way to the end. So if somebody asked you what the rhyme scheme would be, you would say AA, BB, CC, etc. Because it's consistently continuing down. So then it's voice. Does voice rhyme with delight, feed, thee? So we're going to have some D's. Letter D goes there as well. But then we have thee again. And we've had that word before. So we know that's going to be an A because we have to make it match up here. And then we have two more of these. So some of these get really easy if you have a lot of repeated phrases. So it would be AA, BB, CC, DD, AA. And so that would be the rhyme scheme, is what those bold letters are showing down here. And so that's what you would click for rhyme scheme. Now, we're not going to keep those letters there forever, but I did want to show you what that would look like. So I hope that helped. We also have some rhetorical questions. Dost thou know who made thee? So do you know who made you? Because thee or thou, those just mean you. So do you know who made you? And so it's asking the lamb, do you know who made you? And so a rhetorical question is a question that is asked, but it's not expecting a response. Sometimes that's how teaching feels. It's, I'll ask you a question and you don't answer. Kind of like these videos. So that's what the Tyger and the Lamb is. And I hope you like getting to see the pictures because these are designed to go together. Now, there is another set of poems. There's many sets in this collection. And so we're going to glance down at the Chimney Sweeper. So this one is talking about Chimney Sweeper specifically, but you're going to have the Songs of Innocence and the Songs of Experience only about the Chimney Sweeper. A little black thing among the snow, crying, weep, weep, in notes of woe. Where are thy father and mother, say? They are gone up to church to pray. So we're talking to a child, a little black thing. So it's covered in soot. And soot is like the black stuff from chimneys. And so you have that dark soot contrasting even within this poem of the snow, which is that bright and happy snow, that clean snow. And it's crying, weep, weep. And it's in notes of woe, so that sadness. And it doesn't even have its mom and dad. Because I was happy upon the heath and smiled among the winter snow, they clothed me in the clothes of death, and taught me to sing the notes of woe. I was happy and singing, so instead they gave me basically a death sentence, is what he's saying, because clothed me in the clothes of death. And so these children were hired and made to work historically as the people who would clean out chimneys. And it was important to clean out the chimneys because otherwise houses caught on fire. However, they would stick these small kids that were poor to go clean the chimneys out. And so it really was a very sad ordeal. And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury, and are gone to praise God and his priest and king, who make up a heaven of our misery. And so that's a really sad kid that's trying to tell his story. And then it's contrasted. You can already see that I was going through doing some rhyme scheme over here too. But here is the second chimney sweeper. Then maybe we can figure out which one was the innocence and which one was the experience. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tommy Tyger, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know when that soot cannot spoil your white hair. So again, you have that contrasting of the white and black. And so Tom here is also a chimney sweeper, and as is the speaker of this poem. And so Tom is having his head shaved because of just they didn't want to deal with lice. They didn't want to have to clean his hair. And so often they shaved these kids' heads. And so he was quiet. And that night, as Tom was asleeping, he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And what are these coffins of black? It's the chimneys. Because no, they're not all dead, but most of them are going to end up dying in a chimney. So he is painting a very sad picture, but he is also trying to make a stance about child labor. He does not think that these kids dying just to clean chimneys is right. And so William Blake is also an activist trying to bring attention to a problem. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and so he's starting to see heaven because he is so close to death. And he opened the coffins and set them all free. So he's just praying for a miracle. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise up upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom if he'd be a good boy, he'd have God for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark. So that was his dream. But what happened was this. After he woke up from his dream. And so Tom awoke, we rose in the dark, and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So with both of these poems, again, we have that songs of innocence and experience. And this was a little harder to tell which one's the innocence and which one's the experience. But the fact that this one still ends happy, they need not fear harm. He was happy and warm. This tells you that this is going to be the songs of innocence. And the fact that this one ends in misery is going to be the songs of experience up there. So experience is going to be the one that always ends unhappy. And then the songs of innocence is going to be the one that ends happy. And that's kind of one of those deciding factors there. And so we got to see, again, some more rhyming. But I did want to look at the tone and the themes between these. So neither one of these were very light or happy. But the shift of, and so Tom awoke. So we start seeing a shift in this innocence poem that helps us find that joy. And then it makes it a little bit lighter. But what is the theme or the overall message from this poem that Blake is trying to get us to understand? And so not just the two chimney sweeper poems, but also the Tyger and the Lamb. And so how do those compare? What is the overall message that they're wanting? And again, we see that how can God let these horrible things happen and be a good God? So this good God is still wanting them to be happy. He's still trying to keep them happy and warm. He's still trying to keep them from harm. And that's the same good God that created this beautiful lamb, this clear, perfect lamb. Well, but the same God created the tiger that's going and killing. And it's the same God that's allowing children to die in chimneys. So, one, he's being an activist and trying to make a stand against child labor, which is a great thing. But he's also trying to delve personally with these really hard questions. And it's okay to ask hard questions. And so he's using his poetry as this outlet to try and figure those things out. So if you have questions, of course, you're always welcome to come and ask. More than happy to answer questions. Hope this helped.